Do you know what? Sylvia and I we went out on the town together in LA. We went to a comedy club together and we stayed up past 10 p.m.
But Kristen and I were sitting pretty close to the front, and I went, Kristen, and look at this kid. What was he doing, Kristen?
Y- Ted, this kid, he was so high stoned out of his mind. He would fall asleep and his head would fall down and jerk back up,
But why?
but without missing a cue. His head would jerk up and he would start laughing no matter
Laughing.
what, just laughing. And that made me, we watched him fall asleep and through the whole thing. And I was crying real tears.
The Hollow Buddy. And we all feel hollow sometimes.
Greetings and salutations, and welcome to the Hollow Bunny Leadership Podcast. I'm Kristen Zeman, and I'm here with my hilarious and humble co-host, Sylvia Moyer.
I'm an
Hey,
H.
Syl.
Oh, hi,
Yeah.
Kristen Zeman. What's
Ted,
cooking?
producer Ted is also here with us, but he's lurking as he does behind the scenes. What's up, Ted? See what he does? That's creepy.
Thought I was lurking, and now I'm back. What do you want me to do? You want me to
that's
lurk or be in your face?
No,
you
Little
do
both?
whatever you want. You can whatever you feel like. Just
Do a little of both.
just you could streak. Honestly, you could streak back and forth. Don't care.
That is
Ted.
within the possibilities.
I think the people that just listen to our podcast are really missing out on this chiseled steel and sex appeal. That is the new Ted Madden of Dallas, Texas.
Yeah,
It's really something, Ted.
it really
Transformation
is. It hurts
is
my eyes.
encouraging.
Beauty is I
It
can
hurts my
edit
eyes.
all of this out, but thank you.
Pretty painful, Ted. It's hurting, Kristen.
Today, Syl, we're digging into a surprising shift in workplace dynamics. According to the latest data, employees now value hope more than trust in their leaders. Yeah, you heard that right. What?
I heard it. You said it. I heard it. Millions of people just heard it. February of 2025, Kristen, is what we're talking about. That Gallup just released that they want hope and trust in their leaders. But what has happened is hope in this period of time has edged out trust. What do you make of that?
Wow. So a couple things. Like I was really contemplating this. First of all, I think we have to define what hope in leadership means and what it doesn't mean before we can kind of figure out the source of it. And so, like hope, right? What is the very definition of hope to you? I mean, for me, I link it very closely to the work I do in optimism. To me, like hope is leadership. In leadership is the belief that tomorrow can be better than today. But here's the caveat is that we have agency in making it so. We have control over it. It's action oriented.
Yes. And when we talk about agency, that's one's individual. My understanding is it's one's way of dealing with life. It is our standing, our bearing, our tact, our resilience, and how we engage in the things that life kind of throws at us, right? And so when we were reading this study, it was super compelling from February of 2025. A lot of things changed in February of 2025, right? And when Gallup polled and they said, what is happening here? They said, dive into this insight. It said, hey, hope is a powerful motivator. It gives employees something better to look forward to. It helps them develop agency and helps them navigate future difficulty. And so there are some societal factors that really might have influenced this. It's saying that while trust is absolutely essential, right now folks need this coupling of hope, aspirational, and trust. And I can't help but think about this inextricable link between this and your optimizing work. How would you link them for people or help leaders consider how they would kind of explore this interdependent trust and hope kind of space?
Well, I think first to land on hope, I think it's important to distinguish that it's not wishful thinking. And that's also kind of linked with positivity, which is not that rah rah, don't you worry, everything is going to be okay. In fact, I think hope especially exists in times when things are not okay.
Yeah.
It's that idea that there's light at the end of the tunnel, to be cliche, or actually maybe you don't even see the light yet, but you know it's there. But here is where I would link hope to optimism, in that it is paired with purpose and direction. And then we can kind of get into trust, because I think maybe that's where my gap is, I think, of linking the two. So I understand a lot about what hope and optimism is. It's that idea that I have the power to make tomorrow better. So I wonder if that trust comes from the fact that when leaders say those words, hey guys, things are really terrible right now, I know it, I'm not going to pretend they're not. Maybe that is where trust is built, because you're not trying to
Hmm.
gaslight the people in your organization by saying, don't worry, everything is fine, when everyone knows everything is not fine. So I don't know, maybe that's my
Mm.
link there to a trusted leader, as one that tells me the truth.
Yeah, I can't help but have about 90 things to talk about with this. One is that you talked about it has to be moored to something, has to be anchored to something that's not just this kind of hope that's just floating about without a strategic kind of purpose, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's also a realism, and I recall in 2020, as a police chief, talking about this, the grind. I think I'd worked 3 months straight, and
Mm-hmm.
we had multiple crises. And when I stumbled upon a quote by Churchill that, in essence, said, "Only a foolish optimist would ignore the difficulty of what is before us." But I remain painfully, excruciatingly optimistic about what we're doing for the greater good, was kind of how I kind of not sold it, because that seems so superficial, but really demonstrated, expressed it.
Right.
You have just attached to something that is absolutely essential as a leader, and that is that even something that is enthusiastic and infectious in terms of energy and hope and resilience should be anchored to something meaningful. Is that what you're offering for people as they listen to this? Let's talk about this piece, but then anchor it to something. Is that what you're talking
Yeah.
about, or did I miss the mark?
No, no, no. No, I think, no, that's what I was trying to kind of reconcile. That, for me, like where, how to get from hope to trust, and how those two are linked. But so, yeah. So, okay, first of all, let me see if we can unpack why trust is now second to hope. And I think
Good
that is
luck.
because yeah, right, like let me try to unpack that, and then I'll try to kind of come up with where that purpose lies. But I think that if we I think because of a lot of things, we have global uncertainty, to put that mildly, cynicism, and this has made people move from trust to that a craving in the future. And I think trust is one of those things that says, I believe in you, but hope is, I believe in what we're doing together. And in the workplace is, people want stability for sure, but they also want direction and meaning and a belief in what lies ahead. So that's where I think I attach purpose, is that people want to know why am I doing this? What's it all for? And that's where meaning is. That's where we get that.
Sure. So then, how would we encourage folks to send a message of hope while being linked and interdependent with trust? And I think we can say that high engagement, um, individual success that leads to then organizational success and movement toward fulfillment and the mission is kind of that link that will chain these two kind of things together. Look, the thing is, when there's economic turbulence, uncertainty, kind of an absence of a conceivable plan,
Hmm.
people are turning to places where they feel hopeful and they
Hmm.
feel like there's a direct path to something stable and meaningful. And I think they're looking at their immediate leaders and broadly the leaders in the profession to provide that for them. They're looking outside. And so to have some degree of equilibrium around what's happening is what I think my hunch is that that's what this Gallup poll from February is saying.
Hmm.
They just feel unmoored and kind of like, what's happening?
And so you're saying that they're not getting hope from their leaders currently? Is that what is happening?
Great question. I don't think there has to be an absence of something to desire something else,
Hmm.
right? So I'm not
Yeah.
sure there's a deficiency. There is a rising in self that they're feeling like the turbulence and turmoil and uncertainty is giving them disequilibrium.
Okay.
And that
Right.
hope is that there is going to be a more stable, equalized future. That's what I think that this is
Yeah.
likely saying. If we were to dive into this further, I think that's what it's likely saying. And leaders at all levels of organizations can perhaps say, okay, in this disequilibrium, this time of turbulence and uncertainty, we can
Hmm.
look within. Let's shrink our field of view and look at our team, our unit, our division, and I think they can look small, more narrowly to feel more certain about broadly how they would carry out their work and live their
Yeah.
life.
That makes sense. And I think that what we need to do is put the onus here on leaders. And we can talk about leaders, whether they're in a formal position of leadership, title, rank, versus someone who's not. And I would, as we talk about all the time, it doesn't matter. You can lead from right where you are. So I think that all of us have a responsibility to lead with hope. And you locked in on a few of them. Number one is to communicate a vision beyond the daily grind. So even if
Yep.
you don't know the outcome, show that the journey does matter. We are going somewhere and we are going somewhere together. And, we're going to try to get there. You also, I think, have to, um, you have to exude belief that your people have the ability to figure it out. And by that, I mean, by saying, you guys, we've never done this before. We've never gone through this before. Um, we have a lot of friends, acquaintances, colleagues that work in federal government, and you talk about the instability now. A lot of them don't know from day to day whether they're going to have this job. How do you lead in the middle of that? I mean, you and I, we're both graduates of the Naval Postgraduate School, and I am on a group chat with federal workers, and
Yeah.
they are the level of uncertainty. And I hear them and I hear the hope without using those words, but I hear them saying, we've never been through this before, but we're doing the very best we can. And sometimes that's all you need to hear. And then maybe it's making meaning out of the mess. Reframe the setbacks into lessons, momentum builders. What is this trying to teach us? I don't know. That's all I've got.
Well, and Gallup actually said they defined this whole thing as the need to feel positive about the future and for leaders to provide a clear direction. Hope being this powerful motivator, it's
Mhm.
saying it, employees are saying, look, we need something better to look forward to enable us to navigate challenges. And if they don't have it, they disengage, they become isolated, and isolation and darkness. Well, a whole bunch of things die in darkness, from democracy to connection, to warmth, to
Mm-hmm.
an array of things, including resiliency and health, things
Yeah.
die in darkness. And so I think what Gallup has surfaced, I'm guessing they were likely surprised by the results because trust has always been so high. But
Mm-hmm.
I think they were surprised. But Gallup and this whole kind of notion for me means that people need to trust us to forge the kind of the path, and to let us know without being naive or just overly positive, really rooted in realism, that it's going to be okay. Just like you said, we've never done this before, let's give it a shot, and let's
Right.
focus right where we are.
Yeah, the cautionary tale there is hope is not pretending that things are just fine, and that's what I said. Your people are smarter than that. But I think that what hope does is it acknowledges hardship and it still insists on moving forward. It's basically like saying we're not going to ignore the storm, but let's build a boat right now. I mean, that's what people need to be doing is rolling up their sleeves in the middle of this uncertainty and trying to figure out how to weather it.
Yeah, and I had this sticker on my laptop for a long time, and it's sticker with Athena, her symbolized by the helmet with the owl for strategy, and the shield and the spear, just an amazing figure. And it said, "Hope is not a strategy." And I think we recognize that hope is not a strategy. We say that many times on the Hollow Bunny Leadership Podcast, but it's a genuine thing.
Hmm.
However, what folks are saying is, oh my gosh, I feel so much disequilibrium. I'm freaking out because there's just craziness around us. How do we shield ourselves from the craziness? So, look,
You're,
it's
oof, oof.
yeah, it's a thing. Can I tell you the other thing that Gallup said in this
Yeah.
poll? I saw this other piece that said moral leadership or lack of it impacts everything from team trust to employee loyalty to the bottom line.
Hmm.
And they found that employees are also demanding moral leadership from CEOs and manager, according to the February 2024 report from the Howe Institute for Society. And that's a leadership development firm. And Gallup said this is kind of a subcomponent of the demand for leadership. So this hope thing coupled with and linked to trust, and then the demonstrations of moral leadership. Wow, that's a powerful chain that, if broken, can have some significant consequences, right?
Yeah, and I'm also very empathetic to those leaders who genuinely don't know what outcome is going to happen. I mean, usually there's some semblance of control or at least a knowing. There's never been this much uncertainty in our organizations and and even our corporations. And this is not a political statement. This is just factual information in that tariffs are wreaking havoc. I know small business owners that are saying, I don't know how I am going to import goods. I can't make a move because there is so much uncertainty of what is going to happen. So I can't imagine being a leader in this moment in time and not genuinely not knowing. And I think that's where I think, as we go back to trust, see, I don't know. I don't know that hope surpasses trust. I think that there's got
Well,
to
you
be
should have
that.
taken the poll then, little lady.
Yeah, well, I didn't know anything
They
about a
didn't ask you.
poll.
How does Gallup not ask you?
How does Gallup even, just like political polls? I mean, I've never ever once been called or asked, so I don't know. How am I not in the Gallup poll? I want to
I have
lend my
no
voice.
idea. I have
Gallup, are you
no
listening?
idea.
This episode is sponsored by
Sponsor.
Gallup.
We'll take a Gallup poll to see how much that is bullshit. Okay.
It's total bullshit. Total bullshit.
So as we kind of have churned on this idea for a bit, what's coming up for you about it as
I
kind of
I
action steps or considerations for our leaders?
it's not so much an action step as it is a question. And I would ask you
Ah,
leaders who are listening this. Are you projecting fear or are you projecting hope to your team? That's what I would ask you, because that is where it all begins. I would begin every meeting, I would address my people by sharing something that I am hopeful about. And I would also ask, what is it that we're building together? Because the show must go on in the government and in our organizations. The widgets still have to get made. What are we doing? And I would continue to keep our eye on our mission and our vision. And I think in these times that we have to celebrate small wins as signs of progress towards the future, towards the vision. I think that's all you can do, just baby steps.
Sure. And I would say, as someone who has positivity as one of my top 5 strengths in the Clifton Strengths Finder, my blind spots, I get them. That I have to make sure that my positivity and admiration, I'd say any positive leader out there, when you're demonstrating hope, make sure of this. Make sure your positivity and admiration are always genuine, because we can do more damage with false praise than with criticism. And also,
Mm.
we have to caution ourselves against the damage to point out the positive side of a bad situation before others have had the chance to fully vent. And I think those are really important blind spots for those of us that want to say, look, I don't have negative people in my space. Fuck off, negative people.
Hmm.
However, as a leader, we are in space with people we don't choose. And as if you are really diving into building trust and generating hope and giving strategy and the underlying tactics to folks, all this together, be careful not to be a Pollyanna. Be careful not to add that hopeful positivity to optimize optimism, all the things that we talk about in terms of driving folks forward. Be careful not to do that before people have had an opportunity to really vent and discuss what is troubling them, because we might lose cred as a result.
Yeah, I like that. And I think that trust has to get built back up. I mean, I really do. And I think the way that trust, kind of comes back into the balance again is when leaders are honest with their people. Hey, listen, here's a shit sandwich that we have to choke down, but I have some chocolate milk. So that's a good thing. Take a sip. Let's choke it down.
Yeah, I mean, being a realist is
Yeah.
honoring people.
Yeah, for sure. That's a
So
good
some
place to
things to
land.
chew on for our
Yeah.
Hollow Bunny Leadership Podcast followers, huh?
Yeah.
Well, I submit that our folks have a lot to think about, and in their stillness and reflection and contemplation, I have high trust that our followers can figure out a plan and start inserting some of this in kind of micro moments or even the macro within their own sphere of influence, Kristen.
Yeah, I totally agree. All right. Well, we'll just leave it there. And
Okay.
yeah, well,
Gallup,
as
thanks for sponsoring Gallup.
thanks for sponsoring. As always, if you like what you heard, you can subscribe, review, and share it with leaders who could use a little hope. If not, well, move along. There's nothing more to see here.
Nothing.
Ted Madden produces this podcast, and the song you're about to hear was written and performed exclusively by my handsome and talented son, Jake, and his accomplished friends, Fabian and Zoe. Keep filling your own bunnies, and please keep adding substance to others. Bye, everybody.
Goodbye.
When you look inside, what do you find? Are you content to fall behind? When you lose your way and you've lost your why? Have courage and get ready to fight the hollow bunny. When the way ahead is covered in smoke and you're tired and you're scared and you're losing hope, you'll open your heart and your eyes to see a challenge and a question. Why not me? To fight the hollow bunny. And we all feel hollow sometimes. fight instead. To change the world, you've got to start small. It takes a leader to say, I don't know it all. And I know I'm gonna fall, but I'll pick it up and come back stronger. Failing forward and moving onward, doing the hard thing and the right thing, forever fighting the hollow bunny. And we all feel hollow sometimes, but the monsters are only in your mind. It's a tough pill to swallow, but if you're brave and kind, you'll be alright. If you fight the hollow bunny. If you're tough on the outside but empty within, something's gonna crack, you've gotta start again. You're tough on the outside but empty within, something's gonna crack, you've gotta start again. The monsters are